Hello, welcome to Seams and Crafty Things. My name is Stacy. Thank you for tuning into my channel, where I will feature lots of things like sewing projects and crafty projects. Today, we'll be making dust masks. Now, with the shortage of dust masks going on today, I realized that we ran out in my husband's shop where we do a lot of things like wood turning and woodworking. We also work with geodes and crystals and pretty much lots of things that are pretty dusty. So we really need masks for our shop. So I decided that I would make some for us to use out there. I also made a couple for my family. These are in no way meant to be a mask to protect you from the coronavirus that is going around right now. Although I did follow CDC guidelines in making these dust masks, and they do have pockets in them to hold a HEPA filter. But today we're not going to be making a HEPA filter. I will show you a couple of different ones that I have already made, and then we will make some together. So let's get started. Okay, so here I have 3 masks. This one I have is it's just a regular like surgical type mask. It does the work. The pocket is on the center of the back in this one for the HEPA filter. This one I actually made a HEPA filter for. You could see it here. Again, we won't be making the HEPA filter today. Here's another one that I did. This one's really cute, paw prints. This one has the pocket on the bottom of the mask. It also has metal, like metal wire on the inside so it can fit around the nose to help keep the dust particles out. And then I also made a small one for my grandson because he's always got to help his papa in the shop. This is another one that has the center pocket in it. Today we're going to be making the one with the bottom pocket because it's a little bit easier. It's an adult size mask. We will be putting the metal on the inside and we'll be doing the pocket on the back as well. So let's get started. One more thing, bear with me. I am so new to this. This is my very first video on my channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Any likes are super appreciated. Be gentle on me. I'm new. So without further ado, let's get started. What you need is 2 pieces of 100% cotton fabric measuring 9 by 6 inches. You're also going to need 100% cotton t-shirt fabric. The other supplies you're going to need are 2 pieces of 7-inch long 1/4 inch elastic. They come in a few different colors. 20 gauge wire, really any wire. I use the 20 gauge. Whoa, blurry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I just had 20 gauge wire on hand. Some thread, of course, round nose pliers, and some nippers, and of course a ruler. So let's get started with cutting our wire. I like to use 2 pieces. 4 inches seems to be a good length for them. So you'll cut your 2 pieces of wire at 4 inches long. And now use your needle nose, round nose pliers. And you're gonna turn in the ends so they're not so pokey. This will keep them from poking out of the fabric and poking into your skin. Just a rough turn on each of them, each end. And then of course you want to make sure that the sides are flat. Okay, we'll get this other one finished up real quick. Again, making sure that the loops are flat on there. And then we'll set those aside, and we'll be using those later on towards the end of the mask. So next you're going to want to grab your T-shirt fabric and lay one of your 6x9 squares on top of it, and either use scissors or a rotary cutter and go ahead and cut out a 6x9 square from your cotton T-shirt fabric. I just used an old T-shirt that I had laying around. If I have a mess up on my Cricut when I'm transferring an image or something, I'll save the T-shirt because I know that I could use pieces of it for crafting and sewing projects. So once you get that all cut out, we're going to move on to our next step. Now that you've got your pieces all cut out, you've got your two cotton pieces and your T-shirt piece, we're going to be working with the T-shirt square. And now you're going to want to hem the bottom side of this. So what I did was I just folded up a 1/2 inch, 2 folds, and then pin it across. Sometimes the T-shirt fabric can be a little finicky. Try your best not to stretch it. Usually after you cut it, when you stretch it, it has more of a tendency to start to curl on the ends. Of course, the thicker the cotton, the less of a chance it's going to curl up on you when it gets stretched. To battle this, you can try ironing it flat before you start doing your hem if you notice the edges are starting to curl up a little bit too much for you to be able to work with. So once we get this all pinned, we're then going to go ahead and sew the hem. Another trick I have for you is a lot of times when you start a hem on the end, sometimes the needle will push your fabric down into the machine. To prevent this, pull your threads out of the back of the machine, and when you start to sew, give them a tug as you're sewing. Now that we have the hem done, it's time to sandwich all of our pieces together. So we're going to start with our cotton fabric. We're going to do this one right side up, wrong side down, and we're going to place our T-shirt fabric on top of it with the wrong side facing the right side. And now with your next piece, you're going to place that right side down. So again, our order is, we have right side up, wrong side up. Now make sure you're square all the way around. And then what you're going to do is sew the long side, the 9-inch side, on the top and bottom. Okay, now that we've got that done, we're going to insert the elastic. So you want to make sure that your mask is sitting the same way it was when we did our stack. And now take your elastic pieces and insert them right up against your stitches on the very top and bottom of the mask. It could be a little difficult to pin the 1/4 inch elastic in there, so just be careful. Make sure you don't have any twists in your elastic. And you want to make sure that you are pinning the elastic in between the last layer of cotton we put on and the T-shirt fabric. See here, you can see where the wrong side is on the bottom, and you want your elastic to be in between those last 2 layers there. So we'll just go ahead and do these final 2 pins. Again, making sure your elastic isn't twisted on the inside. Sorry, I'm going off of camera here. Okay, you want to make sure that your t-shirt fabric is nice and flat. I like to put in a couple of pins to make sure that that t-shirt fabric stays where it's supposed to. So once you have those pins in, you're going to go ahead and sew along the ends, leaving a gap on one side. You can leave it about 2 to 3 inches wide. Okay, so once you have that done, go ahead and clip your corners. This will help when you turn the mask right side out, so you can poke those corners out a little better. Removes the bulk. Careful not to clip your stitches. So go ahead and turn it out. Again, you want to make sure that the t-shirt fabric and your last layer that you put on top is the way you're flipping it out. Now go ahead and press your corners out. This is our end here. We want to make sure we turn our fabric in. And now we're going to top stitch all the way around, about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now that we're done top stitching, we're going to find the center. So we're going to fold the 9-inch sides together, and we're going to take a pin and place it on each side where the center is. Okay, and then you're going to take the top 9-inch side and fold it down, meeting up with those 2 center points. And you're going to have another center point here where you're going to place 2 pins on each side. And then repeat the same process with the bottom. So you have 3 pins on each side. These are eventually going to create the pleats in our mask. Okay, so now that we have all 6 pins in, we have our center pin and then our top and bottom center pins. What we're going to do now is pinch these pins up and bring them in to meet up with the center pin. So essentially your bottom pin and your top pin are both going to come in and create 2 pleats. And you want to take care to make sure that your top stitching is lined up and the edges of your fabric is lined up. Okay, and then you're going to turn it over and repeat this on the other side. Now, I know that this isn't the traditional way that a surgical mask is pleated. However, this is how I like to pleat mine. I just like how it feels on my face. Plus, it's my own spin on it. Okay, so once you have these pins in and you have everything lined up, you'll want to bring this over to your iron and flatten it down just to make it easier to put through your sewing machine. Now, you're going to want to be careful when you're sewing this. Go nice and slow because this is a really thick seam here. So now that we have our pleats done, we are going to get started on creating that little channel where we're going to insert the metal nose piece. So we're going to find the top, get our 2 pieces of metal that we cut in the beginning. Now we need to find the center. So we're going to fold the long side in half and put a pin right there in the center. And now either using your ruler or if you have one of these cutting mats, go ahead and measure 2 inches on either side of that center pin and go ahead and place another pin. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and sew down from that first pin and over to the third pin. And we're going to back stitch and stop there. Okay, once you have that done, you can go ahead and remove all 3 of your pins. And now we're going to flip the mask over, and on the side that we did not stitch back up to the top, we're going to go ahead and open it up here. And now we're going to insert that 20 gauge wire that we cut earlier. Okay, once we have that in there, go ahead and maneuver it. Make sure it's pushed all the way back up against your seam. And then we're going to go ahead and stitch that shut. Okay, and there we have it. Our channel's all done. We've got the metal placed in there. Now this can fit snugly around whoever's nose is wearing it. These things are awesome. Our dust masks in our shops, they get used quite often, so this is awesome that we have one that we could just throw in the washer and reuse. Save the environment. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for sticking to the end. Everybody have a blessed day.